WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark and People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. You'll find the streams on the TaylorvilleDailyNews.com Facebook or on YouTube at WTIM TV. Well, it's time to check in with Kemmerer Village in Assumption, and I have Executive Director Shalis Nagel in studio to talk all about it. Great to have you back in studio once again to talk about Kemmerer Village, Shalis.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about you lately have been visiting a lot of organizations and area businesses and talking a little bit about Kemmerer Village. You have more opportunities for speakers to come visit too, right? As I understand, right? Tell me more about those opportunities.
We do. We have a variety of speakers available, and you can go to our website, kemmerervillage.org, to book a speaker. We can speak on a variety of topics. We can talk about Kemmerer Village, our very long history, and the wonderful services we provide. But we can also talk about equine therapy, which is a service that we provide, which is pretty unique in general. But our equine therapist is free to come to a group or a meeting or organization to talk about equine therapy, the benefits of that. Sometimes she can even bring one of the miniature horses to certain venues, but we have speakers that can talk about sports and how sports activities can support kids' mental health, frustration tolerance. We can talk about depression, suicide, mental health in general. And we're just very open to coming to speak to your group.
What kind of organizations or groups have you spoken to in the community, and what kind of organizations do you feel make a good fit for speakers?
I think, the Kiwanis, we've spoken at the Kiwanis, we've spoken at the Optimists, I've spoken at various churches. Women's groups have had us come to speak. Really a pretty broad variety.
And you mentioned the equine therapy. Obviously, you go out and speak sometimes. Anybody else that has provided a pretty good presentation?
We do. Our development director, Autumn Warren, comes to speak. Our director of community operations, Jeannie Carback, can come to speak. And I think I've talked before, Kemmerer Village runs a program called the Illinois Interagency Association. So the assistant director for that group, Brandon Smith, is available to speak. That's specifically on sports and recreation and how those can benefit youth development.
That sounds really interesting. And, I want to know more specifically about each of those, but I feel like we could talk all day about it. So where can I go and find more information about registering for a speaker to come visit my group?
So you can go to kemmerervillage.org, and there's a link that says schedule a speaker on that website.
Shalis, we may have jumped the gun a little bit because you only come in here, every 3 months or so, which is fantastic. Some people may not be familiar with what Kemmerer Village is. So if you would provide a quick overview of Kemmerer Village.
So Kemmerer Village, as you said, is located in Assumption, Illinois, and we are a child welfare agency. We have a foster care program with about 170 kids in foster care in their surrounding counties. We manage those cases. We have an on-campus residential treatment program. Right now we have 2 cottages. We're getting ready as soon as some construction finishes to open a 3rd cottage. We have equine therapy, as I said, in a beautiful indoor riding arena. We have a camp in Southern Illinois, Camp Kemmerer. We manage the IIAA, which is really a statewide program.
What is the IIAA?
Illinois Interagency Association.
Okay. And forgive me, what is it that they do?
So the IIAA organizes sporting activities for kids involved in child welfare across Illinois. It's very unique to Illinois, and they serve about 1,000 kids a year. They provide sports teams that focus on frustration tolerance. They do focus on sports skills and winning by points, but there's a huge emphasis on sportsmanship, teamwork, and just building good character.
That sounds like something that the sports coordinator, I beg your pardon, what was the title of the gentleman that speaks on sports and how that assists development and character?
Brandon Smith.
Sounds like a perfect some the stuff that he would talk about.
Absolutely.
I'm backtracking here, but going forward, the reason I asked you to describe what Kemmerer Village does is because you have a pretty big achievement coming up here in the next little while.
We do. We're getting ready at the beginning of March to celebrate 150 adoptions in our history. And it's also fairly significant that at the very beginning of COVID, we had planned a 100th adoption celebration. which got canceled because of COVID. We had a mini celebration on campus. So really 100 adoptions, and then in just another couple years, we achieved another 50. The adoption process can be pretty long, and we're thankful for our court partners in Christian and Montgomery County because it takes a lot of steps to achieve adoption, but the joy and happiness this brings to families is pretty amazing.
How long have you been with Kemmerer Village, Shawless?
I've been there 29 years.
Can you remember where you were in terms of adoption and stuff at that point? I mean, how far have you come from since when you've started?
I think at that point, we probably had maybe about 30 adoptions when I first started. The foster care community services program was much smaller then. It's expanded hugely over the last several years. The staff went from a staff of about 10 now to about 32 staff in the foster care community services department.
Mm. And you also are, obviously, that's a big part of what you do. You are working with the social services and forgive me, it's Department of Social and Human Services right here.
That's one of the groups that we serve.
Okay.
But for the kids in our foster care, it's the Department of Children and Family Services.
Thank you. I appreciate clarification. That somebody DCFS, DCHS, and blah. Anyway, I guess describe to me a situation in which Kemmerer Village would serve a child.
So specifically in terms of our adoption, all of our adoptions come through our foster care program. It's called Foster to Adopt. And so that would be a child who comes into a foster home having, had to be removed from their original biological home, oftentimes due to a lot of various issues. And then things proceed along, and it looks like the best plan for that child for permanency is to be adopted into the family that they're placed with. So a tremendous amount of paperwork has to happen, many checks and double checks to make absolutely sure that's in the best interest of the child. Meanwhile, the family, can sometimes be on pins and needles waiting. And so we try to provide a lot of support to the adoptive family, the pre-adoptive family, in terms of support and guidance, walking them through that process, being very transparent and clear what will happen. And then eventually, after a lot of review by a judge and various legal parties to ensure it's absolutely in the best interest of the child, that child is adopted, and that is their forever home. That's where they'll live the rest of their childhood.
That's a huge accomplishment, I must say. So you mentioned the judge and the court system, making sure that it's the best fit of the child. What other safeguards do you have in place, if any?
So the adoption process is quite long and thorough. So there's a lot of checks and double checks to make absolutely sure that the original biological parents have been given ample opportunity to achieve their goals. And if that is not is what is happening for them, they have oftentimes a lot of burdens, mental health, drug and alcohol issues that they're struggling with, then to determine that the time is right to make that decision. And a lot of reviews, there are along the way processes called administrative case reviews, where the parents, the biological parents, progress is reviewed and double checked and triple checked. And really, after 9 months, that's when an assessment is determined whether or not the best interest is to pursue adoption. So it's a fairly long process. Oftentimes that process gets extended very well past the 9 months.
There are quite a few, and I'm understating this when I say quite a few, but there are quite a few children in foster care and in the system throughout Illinois. Do you feel like there needs to be a way to expedite that process at all, or do you feel like it's good how it is as far as adoption goes and from foster care into adoption?
I think sometimes, honestly, it could be expedited. Certainly, you want to give the biological parents ample chance to, make the changes and access services. Service access can be an issue, especially in our area. But once that determination has been made, at times there are delays that do seem to make the process more complicated. And again, that's where Kemmerer Village comes in to try to provide as much support as possible to reassure the children, if they're old enough to understand, that the process is still moving forward, even though I do feel like sometimes it may feel like it's stalled. Court gets postponed. During COVID, certainly, just due to all the variables that impacted court processes. There were some delays. But I think in general, the judges in Christian and Montgomery County, they have the best interests of the children in mind. They want to be careful, of course, to respect biological parents' rights, but they are taking a good hard look at all of the evidence in front of them.
Forgive me, we kind of went a little bit off track there, but you are celebrating your 150th adoption soon, right?
Soon.
When is
early
that?
March.
Early March,
We'll
right?
be celebrating our 150th adoption.
That's a great accomplishment. Do you have a party planned? I know you mentioned. Okay.
We do have a party planned, and Design with Detail is going to do some great balloons for us, and the Presbyterian Church in Taylorville has graciously offered to host us. So we're really proud of those community partnerships as well.
That's Shaula Nagel, Executive Director of Kemmerer Village in Assumption, here on the WTIM Morning Show. More from her after this short time out, right here on WTIM, your information station.
WTIM. Your information station. WTIM.
It's the WTIM Morning Show. I'm Avery Cooper. Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville. You always do better with Landmark and People's Bank and Trust. They put people first. Camp Kemmerer is part of what Kemmerer Village offers when you visit kemmerervillage.org. And Executive Director of Kemmerer Village in Assumption, Shaula Nagel, is here to tell you a little bit more about camp rentals and what Camp Kemmerer has to offer. What a amazing camp location in Southern Illinois, Shaula.
It really is just so beautiful down there. If people haven't been down to Southern Illinois, Actually, I was driving to Effingham Sunday, and when I was driving back to Taylorville, I was thinking, this is such a flat area. It is beautiful, we have beautiful, amazing sunsets, but I was thinking about Camp Carew on that very flat, straight drive back, and just how different Southern Illinois is from where we live right here.
Round Grant City State Park, Panther Den Wilderness, a gorgeous area when you visit Camp Carew. And you have rentals open right now, I understand.
We do. We have a couple houses/cottages that are really year-round rental, fully heated, fully air conditioned. If you go to campcrew.org and you can click on the rental, there is a link to a PDF of a rental form. Specifically, those are called the McNabb Cottage and Ryman Cottage. And they have multiple rooms with several bunk beds in each room, and then a common area, a fully modern, so not so much camp, bathroom and kitchenette area. So it's really great for families or groups, youth groups, even, if you want a little bit of a rustic office retreat at really an amazing price point.
That's right. You don't have to be necessarily directly involved with Kemmerer Village to check out Camp Carew.
Absolutely. We provide rentals to groups. And like I said, Bible study group, women's groups, men's Bible groups. It's really a great venue to be out in nature, really the glory of God and the nature, and just to see everything. And if you look at our website, you can see beautiful little grassy lake that's right there. There's great fishing, hiking trails.
I think I got to check out the fishing. And you also have a camp coming up here, like a camp event coming up towards the end of March, too.
We do. Camp Carew, related to Kemmerer Village, is a Presbyterian Christian camp during regular camping season. And at the end of March, we're going to offer confirmation camp. And that is a weekend which combines nature and some Presbyterian confirmation teachings taught by pastors and church elders. And you can see the schedule again on the Camp Carew website where it says register for confirmation camp. It's a great way for kids who are in the confirmation process to be able to get away, maybe be with some of their friends in a different setting, but still take several of those classes related to confirmation.
And it's in a way, a little bit of a distraction, as you alluded to, from the day-to-day chaos of what might be going on in their life.
It can be. And just to be maybe, with some different kids from different areas. I think last year we had about 12 kids participate in confirmation camp. We'd like to see that grow again, because Camp Carew is so beautiful and we just have great team of people wanting to work with the kids in terms of those teachings.
Well, if someone wants to reserve Camp Carew, whether that's for a camp sort of event, like a Bible school or anything else, or if they just want to go with a small group and check it out for the weekend, how can they go do so?
They can go to campcrew.org and click on the left-hand side on the rental, and you can see the rental page. Pull that up. It'll also give the phone number for our camp director in case you have any questions. And we just really encourage people to take advantage of this. Again, it's very economical for a group, and there's lots to do down there.
Seems like there's also some tent camping options, and anywhere from about $12 a night to, groups are a little bit more, obviously, but it's also, as you mentioned, pretty economical.
It is. And one thing I wanted to mention, it's a little bit off, but in 2024, Makanda, Illinois will be in the path of the solar eclipse. So we do right now, actually, on our website, we will be offering the camp campus down in Southern Illinois as an eclipse viewing site. They did this a few years ago, and we were absolutely in the path of totality. So that is pretty exciting.
I wanted to ask you about that, but I worried that it would be a little too far down the line. But hey, that's coming in April 2024. Mark your calendar right now. If you already have your 2024 calendar, you might as well. Charlotte, anything else that you'd like to mention here in about 30 seconds before we go?
I just really appreciate the time to share Kemmerer Village mission and our message. And again, we'd really love to come to speak to your group.
Charlotte Nagel, Executive Director of Kemmerer Village in Assumption. You can find more information when you go to kemmerervillage.org. That's Kemmerer, Kemmerer village.org. Charlotte, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your stream brought to you by Landmark of Taylorville, where you always do better with Landmark, and People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. You'll find the streams on the TaylorvilleDailyNews.com Facebook or on YouTube at WTIM TV.
WTIM.